Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Huntington Convention Center of Cleveland, welcome to this momentous occasion. I'm Molly Ketchum, and I am honored to be your MC for this celebration. We're here to commemorate more than just a statue or a comic book character. Today, we celebrate a legacy, one that blends art, history, and the spirit of Cleveland. We're honoring two local visionaries whose imaginations changed the world, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the original creators of Superman. Their story, yes. Their story began right here in our city, and their influence continues to soar. And speaking of heroes, you may have spotted Roxy roaming around in her Superman cape just like Crypto. She's a 5-year-old Shepherd Chow Chow mix, ready for adoption through the Cuyahoga County Animal Shelter. Because let's be honest, every hero deserves a sidekick. It's a joy to have all of you here to witness this historic moment, and now it's time to hear from some of the leaders and the champions who helped bring this tribute to life. Like Superman, our first speaker is a tireless defender of justice. However, instead of wearing a cape, he rocks a sport coat, and rather than flying, he is known to bike across the county for meetings. He believes in truth, transparency, and the power of collaboration to strengthen our communities. Whether he is fighting for affordable housing, protecting our waterways, or investing in neighborhoods, he is always looking for ways to uplift others. Please give a warm welcome to a real-life hero, your Cuyahoga County Executive, Chris Ronayne.
Thank you, Molly. Good morning, Cleveland! How we doing out there today on this beautiful Saturday morning? All right. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman! How many of you saw our Superman movie here this summer already? Give me a hand. I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. How many of you keep your hands up if you've seen it twice? I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Wasn't that spectacular? Seeing Superman rise from Public Square, seeing Superman rise from the atrium off of Euclid Avenue. It's our town, it's our history. Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, you're our heroes, right? So today I'm here glad to be a part of this historic unveiling. An unveiling that dates back to the 1930s when Superman was originated by two Clevelanders. We all know them, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, two high school students from Glenville High School, made it happen. And boy, do we need superheroes today. Always, always with us. I think this now century-long effort is going to sustain. Our Superman is our hero from our town, thanks to Joe and Jerry. I want to thank the family that's here today. We have living in our midst members of the Siegel and the Shuster family. Today, Jerry Siegel's daughter, Laura Siegel Larson, joins us. Give a wave and a warm Cleveland welcome. And his cousin, Laura Siegel Larson, and his cousin, Gary Kaplan, who's president of the Siegel and Shuster Society. Thank you, Gary, for your tireless efforts. Joe Shuster's cousin, Lee Goldie, is here today. Lee Goldie, a warm Cleveland welcome. The Siegel and Shuster Society have kept Superman alive in our hearts and minds. And we're here today. The tireless advocacy that they have continued to promote since their founding, their inception back in 2007, they've kept this dream alive. The Siegel and Shuster Society, if you've got a few members out there, give us a wave. All of you guys who are members, thank you. Give it up for the entire society. We're grateful for you. And to Councilman Purnell Jones, who I'm going to reintroduce in a minute, but he has been the conscience in the county council driving this project because he himself is a huge comic book fan and a huge Superman fan. Give Purnell Jones your warm Cleveland welcome. Thank you, my colleague, my friend. And to the county council members who are here today, would you please stand because they helped fund this project. County council members, please. Thank you. For you. Thank you. I see you out there. And to our renowned sculptor, David Deming. He's known around town for a lot of sculpture work he's done down by the Brown Stadium, out in University Circle, Stephanie Tubbs Jones Memorial. You're all over the country with many statuary that you've developed. But this is David Deming, our sculptor extraordinaire, former president of the Cleveland Institute of Art. Your studio out in Lakewood beckoned this project. Thank you for your tireless advocacy, David. To our design and build team, from bringing Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster to tribute to this plaza to life. This is, by the way, the Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Tribute Plaza, and it forever shall be that in Cleveland, Ohio. All right? Special thanks to Nick Slaughterback from Moody Nolan, the architecture team, wherever you are. Nick, thank you. Right back right there. Thank you, Nick. Ellis Katz, Jeff Applebaum, I saw you wearing a cape from PMC. Thank you for driving this project and this entire convention center. We want to thank Turner Construction, and again, to all members of the Siegel and Shuster Society, thank you for your advocacy. Moreover, to comic book fans and fans of Superman everywhere, give yourselves a round of applause. You drive this. You're the reason that we are this historic home. And we're going to keep this dream of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster alive for decades and centuries to come from this plaza. Thank you also Tim Meyer, Executive Director of this convention center, and his wife Molly, who are our hosts today. Give them a round of applause. Thank you, Tim and Molly, for supporting the entire convention center staff team. So why this is so important, we know it in Cleveland. We know when the statue was unveiled that this is truly about Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster and their creation. We locals will know that story always, and we'll carry that story forward. But for others who visit us from out of town, we get millions here to this convention center every year from every state in the nation and countries across the world. They know Superman. Now they know Cleveland is home to Superman, right? That's what's important. We'll continue that messaging, that we are the historic home. So as we unveil this statue today, we obviously honor a legacy born in the minds of the two teenagers, Jerry and Joe, from Glenville High School, who dared to dream up a hero that would go on to capture the imagination of this world, and still do to this day. Cleveland, we know Cleveland has its history. It's rock and roll and Superman. We know we've got history here, but we need the world to know it. But more important is that history lives in the hopes of the people who watched that very movie this summer, that our superheroes are amongst us, you out here. Superman's more than a comic book character. He's a symbol of hope and justice, what we work for every day. From childhood to adulthood, Superman taught us to believe in something greater than ourselves. And thanks to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, that story started right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Today, we'll proudly unveil the Superman statue and dedicate Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Tribute Plaza, a space that celebrates Cleveland's role in shaping pop culture and storytelling. This plaza not only honors the past, but it also is a gift to future generations, to our kids, and to the next generations. It's a place for families and fans and tourists to gather, a place where the next Jerry or Joe might find their spark. Let this statue remind us that heroes can come from anywhere, from our own neighborhoods in this great city of Cleveland and beyond in Northeast Ohio. Let this plaza inspire the next generation of dreamers, of creators, and change makers. And let this moment be one we remember as a celebration that we too can achieve when we honor our past and invest in our future. That's what this plaza is all about. So with that, there are other speakers, but I have two other tasks. One is to present, well, first I'm going to present to our sculptor, because he's not wearing a cape and he needs one. This goes to my good longtime friend, David Deming, so he too can be amongst us, because he is a superhero in our midst. David, thank you very much. Thank you for all your works, and see his works all around town. And then finally, in a minute I'm going to ask Pernell Jones to join me in a proclamation from Cuyahoga County to the Siegel and Shuster Society. And if council members, if you can snake your way up, I'd love you to join. I know it's tight around the area, but come on up. This is on the special occasion of the Superman statue unveiling on the Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Plaza. And you're going to hear a little more story here from the family members. But in 1933, two teenagers from Glenville High School in Cleveland, Ohio, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created a character who would forever change the landscape of popular culture. Superman, the world's first comic book superhero and a timeless symbol of justice, courage, and hope. Jerry and Joe's unwavering belief in their vision culminated in the 1938 publication of Action Comics #1. You know it. igniting a global phenomenon that launched the superhero genre and laid the foundation for countless heroic icons to come. And whereas the story of Superman's creation is deeply rooted in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County spirit, one of imagination, resilience, perseverance, reminding us all that greatness can begin anywhere, especially in our own backyard. Whereas the Siegel and Shuster Society, established in 2007, has served as a tireless champion for honoring Superman's origins and preserving the legacy of its creators through public education, community outreach, and advocacy. Through visionary leadership and partnerships, the Siegel and Shuster Society have brought to life the dream of a lasting tribute in the heart of downtown Cleveland, the Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Tribute Plaza. And whereas the dedication of this historic plaza features a soaring Superman atop an 18-foot column, serves not only as a celebration of artistic achievement, but also an enduring monument to creativity, to collaboration, and the power of storytelling. This plaza, located outside the Huntington Convention Center, will now serve as a beacon of inspiration for visitors from near and far. A place where families and fans and future dreamers can connect with the legacy of two Cleveland teenagers who gave a world a hero. And that hero endures in our hearts, in our minds. It's in plain sight here in Cleveland, Ohio. And now therefore be it resolved that the county executive and our county council hereby recognize and celebrate the Siegel and Shuster Society for their unwavering dedication to commemorating the legacy of Superman's creators and for the extraordinary role of establishing the Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Plaza, the iconic Superman statue. Let this proclamation stand as a testament to the enduring power of vision, perseverance, imagination, and the legacy of Superman. All right, if I could give this to Gary Kaplan with our county council. Thank you, sir. All right, Gary, thank you. You're gonna hear from Gary in a minute. I see Mayor Thomas taking a picture up in the sky. He's still there, like a bird, like a plane. Superman's amongst us up here. I do want to now introduce one of my superheroes. He's the man wearing the yellow shirt. This is former council president and now councilman of District 8, Purnell Jones. From day one when I took my job, he said, let's get this done. We need to honor Superman. He is the ultimate tribute to this. So, Purnell Jones, a few words from you, my councilman. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. What a super day this is for Cleveland. Let me start by saying I'm a lifelong Superman fan and a serious comic book collector. I still remember the first day that I saw my very first comic book. My mother and I were in a 7-Eleven store. I was 5, 6 years old. And back then, Saturday morning cartoons was still a real thing. And the Super Friends was my favorite cartoon. So when we walked into 7-Eleven and I saw on this comic book rack, Super Friends #1, I had to have it. I picked that book up, I flipped through it, and then I took it up to the cash register where my mother was and said, I want this book. She didn't even look up. She said, no, put it back. She couldn't catch the vision. But a couple months later, we ended up back in the store and I was able to buy my very first comic book, Super Friends #13. My goodness. And from there on, it led into a lifelong collection of 22,000 comic books. 4 of which I placed on my shirt today, 5 on my shirt for my own collection. And it has been a beautiful journey for me. I can't tell you just how proud I am to stand here today for the official unveiling of this incredible Superman statue right here in the heart of downtown Cleveland. I even had the opportunity to be an extra on the set of the Superman movie. I've seen the movie. Unfortunately, every scene I was in was left on the cutting room floor. Except for an overhead scene where they're shooting down and you can see the top of my head. So that was about it. But well, today we are celebrating the unveiling of a beautiful piece of art. But we're also paying tribute to a legacy that began right here in our own city and went on to inspire the world. If you've never heard it before, we have something to brag about. Superman may have been born on Krypton, but he was created right here in Cleveland. He was brought to life by two visionary teenagers from the Glenville neighborhood, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. These two young boys imagined a hero who was faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, and able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, who stood for truth, justice, and the American way. Their creation forever changed the landscape of popular culture, and it all started in a little house on Kimberly Avenue. The Superman story tells us he was raised in a small town in Kansas by adoptive parents who instilled within him strong Midwestern values, the same Midwestern values we share right here in Ohio. Superman always resonated with me because he had honor, integrity, and a love for community. He represented hope and was a shining example for all to follow. Even those who are not from the Midwest or have come from other countries and have made this country their home can see themselves in the Superman story. He's a stranger rocketed from the exploding planet of Krypton who came to Earth to a new home that made him stronger, gave him the opportunity to be better, and he embraced his new home. He dedicated his life to his new home. These stories resonate deeply with the American story. They resonate with all people across cultures and across generations, and they most certainly resonate with us right here in Cleveland. And that's why I am so glad that Cuyahoga County could be a part of this moment. It was a no-brainer for me to do what I could to secure this space at the convention center for this statue to live. I cannot thank the Superman Society, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Society enough for all of their efforts in this project today. I met a member, Mike Sangiacomo, who couldn't be with us today, 6 years ago at a convention, a comic book convention here in Cleveland. And we were talking about our love for Superman and then the need for, I was talking about the need for a statue. And he let me know, well, the society already has one. We just need land. So I said, all right, well, let me see what I can do to be a part of it, to make it happen. Then met President Gary Kaplan. We had an opportunity to meet in my office, yes? Gary. He and I and his team, we met in my office because we needed to advocate and sales pitch the DC comic leadership to give us the right to approve our design and the right to build a statue here. So we gave in fact, Gary gave an impassioned, powerful speech as his voice rose in conviction to the leadership. We were on Zoom, and all of a sudden, the ground started shaking on their screen. The ground started shaking. There was an earthquake. This was around March or April. Yeah, March or April 2023. They started shaking. The ground was moving. We were all nervous for a moment. But after a few minutes, it passed, and everybody was calm. Everybody was all right. But it was definitely a sign they needed to get with the program. They needed to get with the program. But ultimately, because this is where Superman belongs, at the center of the city where he was created. To the Siegel and Shuster Society, thank you for preserving this legacy and for reminding us that heroes can be homegrown. To David Deming, the artist who built this work of art, thank you for creating something even better than we could have ever imagined. To the team at the Convention Center, the County Monuments Commission, and all the planners, donors, and dreamers who made today possible, congratulations on a job well done. This statue is a tribute. It is an iconic landmark, and it is my hope to see it broadcast to the world one day on a commercial during a playoff game of one of our 3 major sports franchises. That translates into a stronger economy, a destination location for those around the world. The whole world knows Superman, and now we need the world to know that Superman is from right here in Cleveland, Ohio. This statue is a reminder to every child who walks by that greatness can begin anywhere, especially in Cleveland. And so I'll leave you with these words that still ring true after nearly a century. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us. And today, this statue is proof of just that. A dream born in Cleveland, now standing tall to inspire all those who experience it. Thank you.
Well said, Purnell. Behind every great hero is a powerful origin story and some incredibly devoted champions who make sure that story is never forgotten. Lee Goldie is the founding board secretary of the all-volunteer Siegel and Shuster Society. She is also a proud cousin of Joe Shuster, the artist who created Superman. For the past 19 years, she's been passionately committed to honoring Joe's legacy and celebrating the Cleveland roots of a world-renowned cultural icon. Please help me welcome Lee Goldie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that all of you are here because of all that everyone has done to make this day happen. Siegel and Shuster Society people, I just want you to raise your hands and say, so that you guys can get some recognition too, because you have done, our board has done amazing work, and it's all been behind the scenes and all volunteer. So thank you for everything that you've done. In 2007, a mild-mannered reporter named Mike Sangiacomo, also known as Clark Kent, posted an article in the Plain Dealer called The Superman Challenge. A Superman fan since birth, he had been continuously asking why Cleveland was doing nothing to celebrate the creation of Superman in Cleveland, Ohio by Jerry Siegel and my cousin Joe Shuster. He would repeatedly ask at the end of his articles that covered Superman, why is Cleveland not doing anything? After receiving only negative responses, he then went to his editor to get approval for an opinion piece on that very same question, and again received the usual response, well, we'll look into it. In December 2007, his article was finally published. In it, he listed a variety of different ways and events that Cleveland could utilize to embrace the creation with a multitude of well-known organizations, libraries, comic book stores, and more. To finish the article, he said, but mostly, Cleveland needs to accept its uniqueness and position Superman as a symbol of inspiration for the city, because we could sure use a superhero. I read that article, and even though my family had been pretty nonchalant about our cousin creating this world-renowned character, not to mention the entire comic book industry that they created, I was intrigued. I went to the first meeting at Positively Cleveland and was hooked. We founded the Siegel and Shuster Society, a non-profit, all-volunteer public charity organization whose mission is to honor and celebrate the creation of Superman in Cleveland, Ohio by Jerry Siegel and my cousin Joe Shuster. I became the founding board secretary and have flown on the cape tails of Superman's cape that Joe created ever since. My paternal grandfather, William Rose, was Joe's first cousin. Both Papa's mom, named Rose, and Joe's mom, named Ida, were sisters. Born 7 weeks apart in 1914. In Toronto, the two of them grew up very close. They were both very similar, introverts, shy, very skinny. Giving an opinion for both of them was a chore, as many people would question their stance, but they enjoyed playing together. When Joe moved to Cleveland, he would go back to Toronto to spend his summers with Papa's family. Joe started honing his artistic skills at a very young age. His sister Jean Peavy long ago shared with my mom and me that Joe, somewhere around the age of 4, had drawn murals on the walls of the family's apartment. Paper was a luxury when he was a child, so when Joel was old enough to go outside on his own, he would scrounge for scrap paper and cardboard that businesses had thrown out. Premium paper, to him, was the white paper used to wrap meat from the local the butcher's shop, but the paper that wasn't soaked in blood, that is. One day, Joe hit the jackpot when he came across several rolls of discarded wallpaper. The backs were blank, naturally, so it was a gold mine for me, Joe said, and I went home with every roll I could carry. I kept using that wallpaper for a long time. In 1932, after moving to Cleveland and meeting Jerry Siegel, once he moved to Glenville, his love of drawing turned into the creation of Superman. Legend has it that Jerry ran to Joe's house after staying up all night, creating the idea for Superman, to ask Joe to draw this. This idea for Superman, after it was drawn, sat in a drawer for 5 years. In 1938, National Comics Publications, now DC Comics, gave both Jerry and Joe $130, which is now about $3,000, for the idea that turned into a multi-billion-dollar character and created the entire comic book industry. But Jerry and Joe were not recognized, yet they needed to be. Their lives afterwards did not reflect the worldwide impact of their literal creation of a new genre. Nothing was done to honor them, and little was mentioned of them, unless they were autographing pictures that many people in Cleveland received. Cleveland has a similar story. There are many amazing things that happen in Cleveland, but little recognition is given because people think it's just Cleveland. Cleveland is super in theater, parks, medicine, and of course rock and roll. And the Superman Plaza is the perfect way to finally recognize the super creation of Superman in Cleveland, Ohio by 2 kids from Glenville, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. The Siegel and Shuster Society, and a super thank you to all of our board members, has been diligently working for the past 18 years to honor Jerry and Joe and their creation of Superman. To date, we have created a plethora of Superman-related events involving a variety of local institutions like the Cleveland Public Library, the Cleveland Orchestra, the Great Lakes Science Center, and the Maltz Museum. We have renovated Jerry's house as a historical landmark and created a fence around the former Joe's former home, illustrating Action Comic number 1. It's a 16-panel illustration. We've renamed the streets, created a Welcome to Cleveland where the legend began exhibit at the airport, created Ohio Superman license plates, and so many more things. Why do we do this? Because we believe in Mike's quote that I mentioned earlier. But mostly Cleveland needs to accept its uniqueness and position Superman as a symbol of inspiration for the city, because we could sure use a superhero. Jerry and Joe were 2 boys from Glenville that loved to write and sketch. They were regular, ordinary people who created an internationally known icon. They are a prime example of how ordinary people from Cleveland can change the world. I am so excited to be with you all today at today's monumental unveiling with my family, representing Joe and his legacy in the creation of this iconic character. Thank you to Michael Sangiacomo for posting his article in the Plain Dealer. Thank you to our Siegel and Shuster Society board, and to all of you who have donated, volunteered, and helped spread the word for this fundraiser that we have led on an all-volunteer basis. We do not get paid for this. We are still fundraising. We are still not done fundraising, so check out our supermanstatuecleveland.org website to learn more. Thank you for meeting us today at the Superman Plaza. You are all helping us bring Superman home.
Next, I'd like to introduce Gary Kaplan. Gary Kaplan is the president of Siegel and Shuster Society and a cousin of Jerry Siegel, the writer behind Superman. This tribute plaza has been his longtime dream. Much like Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, who spent years trying to get Superman published and never gave up hope or lost hope, Gary stayed determined. His unwavering dedication is what helped make this tribute a reality. Please welcome Gary Kaplan.
Thank you, Molly. Yes, I never lost hope, and I never gave up. But neither did David Deming. You know, David's vision to honor both Superman and his creators will stand as a tribute to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster and the entire superhero genre. And it all started with Superman in Cleveland. You've all been told that Superman came from the planet Krypton, but I always knew that he came from Cleveland, Ohio. Or at least I did when I was 6 years old. That's when I found out. Because when I was 6 years old, I was watching Superman on a black and white TV. My mother walked into the room, and she told me that her cousin, Jerry Siegel, was the creator of Superman. And I said, what? When my mom was a little girl, her and her brothers and sisters would go frequently over to the Siegel house. Jerry back then, who had a great imagination, he would pretend that he had X-ray vision. And he would pretend that he could fly by jumping off the top of the stairs. A few years later, later, he was looking for an illustrator to draw his ideas. And my mother's older brother, Jerry Fine, recommended a good friend of his by the name of Joe Shuster. And they got together. And just look what happened. My mother also had a younger brother, and his name was Irving Fine. He joined the Siegel and Shuster Society a few years before I did. Irv was an amazing and inspirational man. Unfortunately, he didn't live long enough to see this tribute plaza come to fruition. But he did get the ball rolling several years ago. And let me tell you that it has been an honor and a privilege to help his dream, David Deming's dream, and our dream become reality. It took a lot of work to get this done, but I want you to know I didn't do it all by myself. And I have some people to thank. I'd like to begin with thanking the donors, especially the Irv and Gloria Fine Foundation, our biggest donor by far. I want to thank the Siegel and Shuster Society Board. All their names are in the program. But I have to mention Greg Pat, who helped me keep my sanity this past year or so. I have to thank Ellis Katz, the project manager, who kept everyone on task. Architect Nick Slaughterbeck, who helped us in so many, many ways. Artist David Deming, who actually is a superhero and now has a cape to prove it. Tim Meyer, the executive director of the Huntington Convention Center. I can't thank you and your team enough for organizing today's event. Thank you. But last and not least, I thank my wife and my daughter for the moral support, which I really, really needed. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much.
Ooh, we're getting close. Are you excited? All right. Now we are happy to welcome Laura Siegel Larson, the daughter of Jerry Siegel, the writer behind Superman, and Joanne Siegel, the model for Lois Lane. But get this. Laura's parents called her the real Lois Lane of the family because she has had a distinguished career as a broadcast journalist for CNN, the CBS station in Los Angeles, and ABC in Palm Springs, California. She's the winner of more than 100 awards, including 13 Emmys for reporting, writing, and producing. Please welcome Laura Siegel Larson.
Thanks, Molly. I am so happy to be here, and I love every one of you who are, pouring out the love that really lifted the people who had the opportunity and the love and the vision for Superman and his creators. It's overwhelming, actually, because this went so long. And what I want to talk about today is overcoming obstacles. We all face obstacles all the time, but getting Superman to the world was quite a job. Let's see, I've got to take my glasses off to see what I could here. We're here moments from seeing what's under these giant claws over there. And it's truly amazing because it took many years, delays, setbacks, and hard work by lots of people to get us here to this lovely and significant plaza that celebrates both Superman, the comics hero that was created in Cleveland, the fact that, we also had 3 extraordinary real-life heroes who on the outside looked a lot like everybody else, but on the inside they had real strength and courage that got them through some very tough times. Those Clevelanders were my parents and Joe Shuster. They were dear friends almost all their lives. And the fact that they're together in the statue, thanks to David Deming, means so much. Overcoming obstacles was actually woven into their hearts and soul. Superman, the first superhero in the comics industry, and Lois Lane, let's not forget her, a role model for strong, gutsy women. Both of those characters exist today because those 3 teenagers believed in themselves during the very discouraging years of the Great Depression in the 1930s and into the 40s a little bit. They stubbornly refused to take no for an answer, all 3 of them, many times. There were many no's. And if they had just walked away and decided not to pursue their dreams and not to get Superman and the symbol of hope and justice, they really wanted to get that out to the public because they knew that everybody needed a superhero. Can you believe it? It's 87 years since Superman first appeared. 87 years! And he still, doesn't just exist, but it's the comic book itself, Action Comics #1, is the most valuable comic book in the world. It now brings millions of dollars. People are so enchanted by that first appearance of Superman and that dynamic cover of him pushing a car over his head, drawn by Joe Shuster. If Jerry, Joe, and Joanne had given up, there wouldn't be an amazing new hit Superman movie in theaters right now. And how many of you have seen the movie? Wow, almost the entire crowd. Well, if you haven't seen it yet, you're in for a treat, and I hope that you will go see it. I want to say a special thank you. Let's hear it for James Gunn, who did so much to honor the legacy of my dad and Joe. He really got it. He understood the character in a way that nobody really had before. And he got a wonderful actor in David Cornsweet, who embodies that hope and, you know, ethics and good morals and all of the things that are actually inside all of us if we just pay attention to it. So, it was important to James Gunn to film a lot of the movie here in Cleveland. And he fell in love with the city and with the people. And not just the people who were in the movie, but everyone was so kind and welcoming. And, you know, he's been in the movie business for a while, and sometimes people are not very welcoming in that industry. But he did a great thing by bringing this new Superman movie to the world. Now, before you see the statues, I want to give my sincere thanks to some of the many people who overcame a different set of enormous obstacles on the way to making this tribute closet that we're in today. May I have I should have brought this up with me. I'm going to begin with that real-life Superman journalist and author, Mike Sangiacomo, who is just a bundle of energy and loved Superman and still does. He just wasn't able to come here today, but you've heard a little bit about him and, you know, his commitment to honoring Cleveland and Superman at the same time. And he was infuriated that it hadn't happened. So fortunately, because he was working for the Daily Planet of Cleveland, which, you know, he started writing passionate columns in the Plain Dealer in the early 1990s. And I know some of you who are here today weren't even born in the early 1990s. But that's when the effort to get a monument, something tangible, something that people could learn from, and take away the love that Superman has for everyone, and all the other inspiring things about him. So when he started writing his passionate columns about Superman in Cleveland, he bluntly asked the city why it didn't embrace its history as the birthplace of Superman. With billboard, statue, anything, there was no way that a lot of people, you know, could find out about it. And Mike was, you know, just pretty amazing, because he kept after this particular issue for years. And his editor, probably got sick of him saying, "I've got another article that I need to put in the plain dealer." So, let's see, what did I want to talk about? Okay, well, Mike, with his column, got people really stirred up. And, enough that the Siegel and Shuster Society was formed so that they could actually do something about it. A lot of people were thinking about it, but the Siegel and Shuster Society worked hard to make it happen. So, yay. Now, Mike couldn't be here today, but yesterday he told me a story, and I knew part of it, but it was really interesting. That I'll quote it. He said, "Your mom and I went all over the city trying to find a place that would exhibit my father's ashes, along with his typewriter, scripts, and other fantastic items. We must, he said he and my mom in the we, okay, must have gone to 5 different places in the city, and everybody turned us down." He said it was a pretty sad day. He also took my mom to my dad's childhood home that she knew about but had never been to, because when she modeled for Lois Lane, it was at the apartment that Joe Shuster lived in with his parents and siblings. Okay, now, the next part of this evolution of trying to get Cleveland to acknowledge itself as the birthplace of Superman was my mother. And in 1996, after my father passed away, she started writing to Cleveland officials. She, like Mike, wondered why so few people knew Superman was created here. And she offered a suggestion. This was my mom's concept at the time. She just asked for a little park to honor Siegel and Shuster, and at its center she envisioned a meditation area where people could quietly reflect on what Superman meant to them and to think about their own inner superpowers, because everyone has them. On my mom's next trip to Cleveland, she was living in California at the time, although she was born in Cleveland. Mike Sangiacomo drove her around, and as I mentioned before, she went to my dad's house, and the people who occupy it now, the Gray family. Are you guys here? Are the Grays here? Back there. That family has embraced Superman so much. When my mom went to visit, unfortunately, they weren't home that time. But the windows of the house had pictures of Superman and articles about Superman. And, so they knew the history of the house and, really wanted everybody else to know it. But how many people, go through a gate, cross somebody's property, and go look at signs? So eventually, but I'll get more, coming up about, the renovations to the house. But what the Grays do today, even though they're still living there, they, the Siegel and Shuster Society and Brad Meltzer is, a best-selling author who was also crazy about Superman. When he visited the house, I believe the Graves were home because he went inside and he was going to write something that was a bit of a parallel to my dad's life. And so he wanted to see the authentic place where everything started, where comic books started. And the Grays let him go through the house, and when he went up the stairs to my dad's bedroom, he said that he actually felt the spirit of my dad, as my mom did when when later on she did get into the house, and the Grays were again very welcoming. What I think is really extraordinary about that family is they continue to live there, and now that people are, beginning to know that even on maps of Cleveland, there's a designation where, my dad's house is. He told me, Mr. Gray told me, that sometimes buses or vans full of people and kids and people of all ages will drive by the house and they'll see a big Superman S on the fence, thanks to Brad Meltzer and the Siegel and Shuster Society. And the house now is absolutely beautiful. Brad Meltzer had an online fundraiser and invited people from all over the world. His target was Superman fans at the time. So some of the people in the comics industry offered drawings, that original drawings that they were making, and those were auctioned off. And that auction raised an amazing $111,000 that was used to renovate the house. So it is no longer falling down, and it's brightly painted, and different safety issues were addressed. But what I'm getting to is, when people see that S on the fence and they read, a remarkable plaque that, says Superman was born here, and a little bit about, Jerry and Joe. He lets people into his home, and Mrs. Gray as well. I don't want to leave her out. If people come and they seem to be authentic fans, he'll say, okay, you want to come in? You want to see Jerry Siegel's bedroom? You want to come in and see the room that he shared with his brother when he was a little kid? And it's so remarkable that those people love Superman enough and understand how much other people love Superman that, they generously invite people in. And that generosity is also, I think, a big part of Superman. Being a part of the community, giving to others, providing hope, overcoming obstacles. And the house itself brings people together. And when the house was fully renovated, there was a dedication ceremony, and my mom was there, I was there, Irv Fine was there, Mike Sangiacomo, Brad Ricca, a lot of the movers and shakers in the Siegel Society were there, of course, because they were responsible for turning my dad's home, from just another house on a street in Glenville to a place that people could come and actually feel that they were a part of the Superman legend, because they loved him so much. And I felt the same way when I first went to my dad's house. it was kind of a spiritual example of, you know, how people can be transformed by something, by a superhero, by Superman, who was created in Cleveland. So, you know, my mom kind of never gave up the idea that someday there would be a permanent statue. She didn't even think about, you know, a statue of you know, Jerry and my dad and Joe Shuster. And the big surprise was that my mom was recognized too by David Deming. When he started creating things, he wanted her to be a part of it because she was part of those three people who, you know, were responsible for Superman and for Lois Lane, and the fact that she never gave up being honored here today. And always permanent statues are going to be here, and I hope that it inspires a lot of people, and that my mom, who in real life inspired a lot of people, that she'll be honored as well as Jerry and Joe. So time went by and nothing was happening for this statue of Superman. She became, you know, very aware of what the Siegel and Shuster Society was doing, the efforts that they were making. And close to the end of my mom's life, I went to David Deming's art studio and saw his initial models of the statue. And that's the time, that was the moment that he surprised me by showing me a little model of Jerry Joe and, and my mom. And so I called my mom and I told her about it, and I was thrilled that she knew before she passed away that she was going to be honored along with her two best friends and the people that she continued to respect and be with her life, her entire life. So, David, thank you. It has meant a great deal. A great deal to everyone in the Siegel family and our extended family, the cousins and everything on both sides of the family, on my mom's side and on my dad's side. But I want to say something now about Irvine. You heard a little bit about him before. He's a businessman and a philanthropist here in Cleveland. He became a powerful leader within the Siegel and Shuster Society and helped them push forward different ideas that they had for ways to honor people. So he met with many movers and shakers about possible sites, and together with other members of the Siegel and Shuster Society, he raised awareness and pride within the city of Cleveland. You know, even kids in school who were Superman fans were suddenly realizing that it was created here. And in that way, they got inspired. So two of Irv's, you know, big accomplishments. Were the display at the airport, and if you haven't seen it, it's great. It even has a video that's running continuously, so please check that out if you're in, I think it's the United, the United terminal. for departures. After people have arrived, they go down a big escalator and then they see the Superman display. And if they didn't know that Superman was born in Cleveland, they certainly knew it after they saw that. So I want to thank Irv's widow, Gloria Fine, who's with us today, and his son, Randy. And, unfortunately, Irv passed away, but, they have carried on his vigor and his spirit of making the dream come true that Superman would be honored here. Okay, now I mentioned David Deming, and he is indeed a man of steel. So he honored the creative genius of Siegel and Shuster in many ways. And so I was very honored that he asked me for photographs of my parents, he's sort of at the beginning of Superman, so that he could get details about them. And he worked so hard to come up with an authentic way of honoring them. And another giant thanks goes to Brad Meltzer, who I mentioned before, was responsible for raising $111,000 to renovate my dad's home. For this event, for this statue, we're showing it to you today. That's finished. But paying the bills for it is not finished. And so we are still hoping that if you haven't already made a donation, we would love for you to do it. So the Siegel and Shuster Society, thank you again. All of you are amazing. And we wouldn't be here today without the man that you heard a little bit before, Gary Kaplan, who was very impressive because he always responded immediately to my texts and phone calls. And I'm on the West Coast, he's on the East Coast, and he did it even when it was late at night, on the weekend, even on holidays. Gary, I appreciate your work so much. Remarkable. So, it's time. And thank you, donors. The donors who made this happen, and all of the family members who are here today. So let's take a look. Are you ready to see the statues? Yeah? Okay. So it's going to, first we just unveiled the one of Jerry is the one who is pointing up at Superman. In the middle is Joe Shuster, who is actually sketching Superman for Action Comics #1. And that detail is in there. It's fabulous. And in the front is my mother, who is shading her eyes as she looks up at the Superman statue that we're about to show you right now. So I want to thank my son, James, who is over there with David Deming. They just revealed that statue, the bronze ones, to you. And it's time.
Out of the way, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it's time to look up, as they say in the movie, look up at Superman. As soon as they get it uncovered, you'll see it. So after 3 decades of efforts and waiting for this to happen, you are here witnessing this remarkable time. And these statues are going walk around and read the plaques. There's a big plaque that's out by the sidewalk, and there's some history about the three creators that's over there, that's engraved on the stand. So be sure to check all of that out. And finally, you may wonder what that blue thing is over there. It's a symbol of the ice that is part of the Fortress of Solitude. Okay, yeah, I just wanted, the last thing I want to mention is I have more to tell you about, Siegel and Shuster, and I'm going to be in the convention center after I rest for a while, and I'll probably be speaking between 11:30 and noon. So in the meantime, enjoy the statues, and see you later. Thank you very much.
Everyone, while this outdoor celebration concludes, the experience does continue inside.